Well, hello again. It's Tuesday in the U.S. Um, 3 days in a row. I can't believe it. Um, Hopefully, I can keep my thoughts together. What I was wanting to talk about. Um, Kind of centers around. Well, it was kind of triggered by a video I saw today from the Galactic Federation of Light, channeling Mira of the Pleiadian High Council. Um, and she says something really interesting about that there was a uncanny spike in what's called the Schumann Resonance just within the past few days. And I looked into this a little bit, and one of the people on YouTube that is a geophysicist, Stefan Burns, was talking about how from the 25th to the 27th of July, the Schumann resonance has gotten progressively higher. And usually spikes like you see from the 25th to the 27th would correspond to having heavy lightning or storm activity in an area. But it was uncharacteristically calm. Now, what Mira of the Pleiadian High Council says is that this was a result of a concentrated effort, or what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, a coordinated frequency of humanity. And I find that really interesting because the first day that I felt like I had a bug in my ass and had to record something, even though I was scared shitless to do it, was the 27th, which was when it was at its peak. And one of the people that commented on my video kind of was talking like they had the same urge, and that, my video had kind of, I don't know, inspired or motivated them to be more serious about doing it for themselves. So that's kind of encouraging because, I mean, we keep getting strung along by all of these videos in the spiritual community. This idea that, something big is coming, that this awakening, this disclosure, that, this ascension is starting to unfold. And I would look at this as a positive source of evidence for this. So there's that. In yesterday's video, I kind of left off talking about AI. And I wanted to kind of go into something a little bit. And it's the evolution of how we have talked about basically flying objects from since when I was a kid. They started out being UFOs. Then in 2016, we were notified that UFOs were now called UAPs. Before it was unidentified flying objects, and the common understanding or idea or joke behind UFOs was little green men, right? In 2016, when the Tic Tac video came out, it started to become widespread that it was UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, right? And then shortly after that, it went from it still was UAPs, but instead of unidentified aerial phenomena, it became unidentified anomalous phenomena. And we went from alien life to non-human intelligence. And I found that really interesting because the reason why we went away from UFOs and even from unidentified aerial phenomena is because of weird things that were starting to take place under the ocean and in the air and in other mediums. And I think it's interesting that non-human intelligence just pushes the line of, just having a new name for something while also opening the possibility for things like, what if the abductors were actually a form of artificial intelligence that still fits the box of a non-human intelligence, right? And, if you've got a highly evolved life form that can create artificial intelligence, it would make sense that they would use that artificial intelligence to scout the universe. But even beyond that, as far as I'm concerned, if non-human intelligence is scouting the universe, and if we're able to create non-human intelligence, how do we know that it wasn't some form of non-human intelligence that created the non-human intelligence that's scouting the universe? And how high up the line does that go? I encourage you to watch some of the interviews with Lou Elizondo. One really good source for some videos on that is the Theory of Everything channel with Kurt Jaimungal. Actually, it's the Kurt Jaimungal channel, The Theory of Everything, or TOE. And I picked up on just little things that Lou was talking about. One question that he was asked was, if humanity found out what you know about what is being kept from us, what would their attitude or disposition or feelings be about it? And Lou delayed talking about it because he wanted to think about the proper response. And eventually he came back to it and he said somber. He said that it would, I can't remember whether he said it would be like a day or a week. People would just be like trying to digest everything that they heard, trying to reconcile it with the paradigms that they were comfortable with in their life. And then everyone would kind of exhale like, okay, now what? And the conversation they had spanned everything from religion to governance to psychology, all of it. Now, what if we were to find out that we were biological computers inhabited by artificial intelligence, having a human experience? Another thing that you find, I wish I could tell you all the videos that I was talking about, but I kind of went down a rabbit hole one time, and one of the things that Lou was talking about was, oh great, now I've drawn a blank. That was good too. Damn it. Huh. Maybe I'm getting mind wiped. I don't know. Shit, and nothing would surprise me anymore. I mean, I've heard everything. I've heard people say that they're such a high intelligence that they can wipe your mind, that they can put thoughts in your head. Um, well, maybe it'll come back to me, but okay, so here's another thing Lou talked about. And this is something that kind of goes along the lines with me is like, okay, so we know that we have a visible spectrum of light. And then there's certain ends of that spectrum that the human eye is not able to perceive. Well, why couldn't the same thing be true for, well, and we know we have the same thing for the audible range. I was talking to my brother one day. I was like, who's to say there's not something on the end of the what you can smell, or maybe even what you can feel? And maybe that's where we start to get into interdimensionality. But one of the things I thought was curious that Lou was talking about was, you know, what if there's things that we just can't explain? And he used love as an example, and I thought that was really weird because there's a huge focus on love right now. But he's right. You can't really describe what love is. You can't really prove that it's there, but you damn sure feel it. So, I don't know, maybe that was his analogy for defining what's real and what's not. What's tangible doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's real. Your scientific method is limited because it's based on observable reality. And observable reality is dependent on the senses of the human body as the observer. It doesn't go beyond that, which is pretty restrictive. They really don't want me to talk about something. The hell? Well, look for Lou Elizondo. Damn it, I wish I could remember what the hell it was. Okay, I'm just going to think for just a minute. See if it resurfaces. Well, another thing that he was talking about was how tired he is. That he has to keep carrying this torch. And he's just looking forward to the day when, someone tells him, you've done all you need to do, your job's done. And when I was watching that, I was kind of thinking, this guy's got his hands tied behind his back. And he's trying to hint enough without getting in trouble of what's being dealt with. What are we dealing with? What's being kept from us? Some of it in the course of his conversations, he was talking about how there were religious aspects. There were people that were making executive decisions based on religious beliefs. Basically, that what they were dealing with was the devil. Wow. Well, maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe I need to watch some videos again. But if I can find the ones that I'm talking about, I'll put them in the description. But that's enough dead air for now. I will keep you posted. Talk to you later. Have a good one.